everyone, welcome back to Lovely Lavender Wishes. Hope you're having a very blessed day. So today I am starting my new journal. I've been kicking around the idea, so I think I am going to start a Renaissance type journal. So now I'm just working on the pages, I guess. So I figured I'd take you along to work on the pages. So my husband and I, we usually go to the Renaissance Fair every year here in Texas, but this year we don't think we're going to make it because of our travel schedule. So since I won't be able to make the Renaissance Festival, I am going to have to make my own Renaissance journal. I'll have to get in the Renaissance spirit that way. So anyway, so I've been spending the last couple days working on some of the papers, and I want to show you. Okay, so it started out with paper like this. This is the paper. It is like a yellowish, tannish kind of, I don't know, like almost like a handmade paper kind of, but I don't know. Probably just office paper, but I've had this for a while, so it's already yellowish. So I thought that would be perfect. And so what I've done, I just took, I'm going to show y'all like the very best results I have gotten with coffee dyed paper has been just putting coffee. So what I do is I take 2 scoopfuls of instant coffee and put in like a coffee cup with some hot water, and I mix it and dissolve it, and then I transfer it into just like a little spray bottle. I got these spray bottles at the dollar store. They come in packages of 2, I think, 2 spray bottles for $1. So I just put it in. So this is like concentrated coffee, I guess. And this has been the best results I have gotten. And all I did with that is I took some stencils, for example, like something like this. I've been using these stencils a lot, y'all, over the page and just spray it. And then what I would do is I'd maybe flip the stencil over, and with all the spray that would be on this side, press it down. And so you'd get like different images. So for example, you could see here is the image one way, I think probably with the stencil like that. And then I'd flip it over and you'd get the image this way with the coffee. So this, if you can see it up close, I've been getting the best results from doing it this way. And this had an image on the other side that I was printing out a variety of images that I had, and they became kind of fuzzy afterwards because I don't think I have an inkjet printer. I don't know what printer I have, but when I apply water to the page, a lot of times it'll soak through and run the ink. But I kind of like that. It makes it kind of even look even older. So I really liked that effect. So some pages were just plain. Some I printed some pictures on the back. Some fit the page perfectly, some didn't. I'm going to go through. I don't even know what size I need right now because I haven't even figured out my cover yet. But right now I'm just kind of putting these pages together. So that was the first thing I did. Here's an envelope. I did the same thing with the stencil. So that was the first thing I did, and let that dry. So I spent a day doing, let's see, a whole stack. Let me grab a whole stack of this paper. So this is what's going to go into my journal. And then the next thing I did, I'll take you through, but then I added ink to the pages. So if you can see here, like here's an example. I added like some ink, splotches of ink to the paper. I added some stamping to the page, and then I even added some texture paste and paint to some of these pages. So you can see I did some stamping and some inking. Let's see, I used gold, I used copper. Here's some more of the ink. Here's some of the copper. You can kind of see it shimmer in the light. And so I'm just going to finish up these last pages. I'm going to take you along and show you how I did this. So that's what we're working on today. We're just finishing up these pages. I love these envelopes, how these turned out. These I had some gold and copper on the stencil, and I just kind of went through it, and the gold and copper kind of meshed. Oh, it was so cool. I was like, oh, I need to do that more. So here's the texture paste with the gold and copper on it through the stencil. So I stamped these, I inked these up, and I did different texture pastes and stencils on those. So it's going to be a really old antique-y type look, I guess. So let me move all this. We're going to start with the ink. So if you want to do something along with me like this, the first thing you're going to do is coffee dye your paper. So ink it, you know, with stencils and coffee dye. And I just showed you how I did that. And then let that dry. So let me move this and move these. And then I took, let's see, vintage photo, peeled paint, and weathered wood. Just those three. The first one I kind of did in layers. I did the smooshing technique. You've all have seen me do this before. So I put the ink on my pad. Let me just grab a little plastic bag or some little plastic thing. Wet it. Grab whatever it is that you're gonna do. And then the fun thing is I would just kind of smoosh this ink around. You can see, just kind of smush it. Or you can do dabs and drops, but this time I kind of like really squished it on there and just had that. And if you have extra, I just would dab it up like that. You can have darker spots and lighter spots, and you can just dab it up. And just kind of did it throughout the whole, both sides. So this gives it another layer. I'm all about the layers, y'all. Y'all know that. Just gives another layer to the stenciling and your envelopes and stuff. And then just kind of put it to the side, let it dry a little bit, and move on to the next page. And I did the same thing. And every time you're gonna get a different look. That's one thing I love about this. And I just kind of went everywhere. I really want this to be really antique-y and just, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do for the cover. I've got all these ideas swarming in my head, and I'm working on my Bible journaling as well. And so my brain is going in 100 different directions at once, as usual, as usual. But yeah, so I'm just kind of been fooling around with the paper a little bit. I've been traveling a lot as well, so I'm trying to get all this in between everything. So yeah, I don't think that's one reason. I'm gonna put this aside and go back to the back. That's one reason why we probably won't be making it to the Renaissance Festival this year. But, you know, I'll just have to get in the Renaissance mood doing my journal here. I want this one to have like a lot of little secret compartments, and I don't know, I don't know. Well, you know, I say that now and then I might go in a whole different direction, so I probably shouldn't say anything because I just don't know what I'm going to be doing. But I really love how this paper is turning out. But it's taking me a while because I'm adding so many different layers to it. That it is taking me a lot longer than I thought it would take, but the effect is really cool. So again, I'm just kind of doing kind of like a assembly line here. I'm doing one color first. I do that, and then I let that dry a little bit on the pages, and I go back. I'm gonna do the other colors. See, if you squish it around like that, you get these really neat effects. And then if you got big, you could just dab it up. If you got big, you know, puddles or whatever, this will dry pretty quickly when you do that. Dab it up. Love it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out the size of the book I'm going to use. And so then I'll have to size the paper down. And what I'm thinking of doing with the paper is I'm going to probably use a tearing ruler or my deckled scissors or such, because I want all the edges to be like that frayed rip look on all the edges here. So So when I size this down, I'm going to cut all the edges so they're all, I'm just going to spray this a little bit. So they're all uneven edges. Okay, this was a page I printed out. I'll just put a few little splotches on here. I'm gonna need some more ink. Good, flip it over. Yeah, you can kind of do this quickly and just kind of smear it around. And then I just go on to the next one. Again, I'm gonna need some more. But yeah, when you're doing a whole bunch of pages like this, it takes a while. It was taking me a few hours the other day of all these other pages. And I was just kind of playing around with it and kind of seeing different effects that I can get with the ink and different colored inks and what I wanted to do with the stencils and such. So this is how I'm doing all the pages. So I'm bringing you along so you can see. Okay, so that was one side of the pages. These are drying, so I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna flip these over. Okay, this one, I'll do a little bit. So it just gives it something else. More layers. More layered effects. I hope you're all having a very blessed day. I'm just waiting for, I guess, this election season to be over. I don't know. I'm trying to ignore it all right now. Just trying to craft. And with the travel that we're doing right now, focusing on that. My Bible journaling, been having so much fun with that. So I don't know if y'all have been following that as well. I know I have a lot of subscribers who maybe subscribe just for the junk journaling, and then I have other subscribers that subscribe just for the Bible journaling, but you can literally use a lot of these techniques. I mean, I use the smooshing technique in my Bible a lot, but you can use a lot of these techniques on both, whether it's, junk journaling, Bible journaling, scrapbooking, whatever it is that you might be interested in. Let's see. Did I do both these sides? I did this one. Did that one. I think. Let's put some on this one. And then I have some, some people who subscribe for both. But I really appreciate y'all watching me and spending time with me. Who knew? I guess this whole COVID thing is what started this for me. I've always been crafting, but people kept saying, do a YouTube channel, do a YouTube channel. I was like, oh, no one's going to watch a YouTube channel. And here we are, almost at 1,000 subscribers. And I mean, it's just blows my mind. But I really, really do appreciate y'all and y'all joining me in your great comments and your encouraging comments. Really appreciate it. And I just have fun doing this, and that's pretty much why I do it. As soon as it becomes unfun, I'll probably stop, but I don't see it ever becoming unfun or me not having fun with it, but that's why I don't like saying I'm gonna have videos out on a certain day or whatever, because with my travel and some days you just don't feel like it. You're just like, you're not in a creative mood. I've had days like that where I'm like, ugh, just don't want to create today. I'm in a funk or whatever. So on days like that, I don't want to do a video. I don't want to create, not even do a video. I just don't even want to create on those days. You know, some days I'm like, I'd rather just sit outside and read. It's gonna be one of those days. And then other days, you know, or sometimes I literally have no idea what I even want to do, and my brain is just mush, and I just don't know what I even want to create that day, or I have no ideas, or I'm drawing a blank or whatever. Then, you know, on days like that, when I force myself and I try to create, that's when like the disasters happen. And I'm like, nothing is working, nothing is turning out. And, you know, it's just better on those days to just not, just stop and just don't even bother with it, because no matter what I try or do, nothing works out. I mean, I'm sure y'all have had days like that. So if you have a day like that, just take a break. Or if you can't think of anything, or your brain is just, you know, you're just not in that creative mood, go do something else. You know, there's nothing saying that we have to do something. You know, unless you have a deadline for something or for work or whatever. But so as you can all see, I'm using the weathered wood here just to put another layer, just a different color on these pages. And I'm just putting a little, because I still want these pages, this dries a lot lighter once it dries. I just want different layers on these pages to really, really give them that, you know, old, weathered, antique-y feel. I'm just putting a little bit. I don't like too much. And if you get a big clump, just wipe it off with, you know, dab it up with your, just like that. Like, just dab it up with your paper towel. And you still get just a faded effect. Like this, it's this old paper. And my allergies are acting up. It's that time of year. And of course, if you sneeze or cough or anything, everyone looks at you. It's like, no, I don't have the COVID. It's allergies. Or, you know, or whatever. Like, every once in a while I'll sneeze and, you know, start getting those looks. I'm like, oh, it's my allergies, y'all. It's my allergies. And I don't have, I mean, I've lived here for so long. I never had allergies before, but everyone said once you live in Texas after a while, you'll start getting allergies. And I think I just have like slight allergies. I don't get them nearly as bad as some of my friends. So I'm very blessed with that. But every once in a while, depending on what's in the air, you know, or if I get a bunch of dust up my nose or something, you know, like everybody. But it's funny now, anytime anyone sneezes or coughs, you know, you get those looks. It's like, you know, I think unfortunately that's what's going to happen from now on. Anytime someone sneezes or coughs, people are going to freak out like you have some kind of disease or something. But, yeah, so kind of what we're living in now, I guess. But a lot of people, it's like, it's just allergies, just allergies. And they're like, prove it. Nobody said that to me. But, you know, sometimes you know that they're thinking it, like, prove it. Prove that it's just allergies. Okay, now I am putting in peeled paint. Again, just some like blues and greens and the vintage photos, and I'm just, again, just dabbing these up. I just want the really antique-y feel. So if any of you have any ideas of what you'd like to see in this Renaissance style journal, let me know in the comments below. I will see if I could try to add to some of that. I'm trying to come up with some ideas. I have a bunch. I don't know how they'll work or how they'll turn out, but I'll take you along with me as I go. Yeah, I gotta focus. I gotta like focus my mind on what I'm going to do, because I've got so many ideas running around in my head and I don't know where I'm gonna start. I think after this, what I really need to figure out is the book, like or at least the cover. Maybe not like, I know kind of what I want to do on the cover, but I got to figure out what size book I'm going to use with these papers and size these papers up and such. I have a couple other Renaissance style type books out in my garage. I'm going to go through those and maybe pick out a few other pages to put in between these pages. But I think overall, I'm going to keep this mostly these type of pages throughout is my idea. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see what I have. I know I had some like King Arthur books and such out there that I might use a couple images from, but not sure. I'm gonna have to kind of go through that and see. Okay, almost there. So we're just kind of finishing these up, just putting a little bit of green on some of these. This page doesn't need that much. We'll just let that. And you don't have to put all 3 colors on every page. Some pages I skip, and other pages I just put like maybe in one section, and if it gets too dark, I'll just dab it off. Other ones I really want the stencils to kind of shine through. I really love the stencil look. And again, if it gets too dark, just dab it off. No biggie. I love the little patches you get when you do it with the splotchy method. And if it's too dark, you can also spray it with some water. That's the beauty of these distress inks. Oh, these pages are getting grunged up for sure. They're getting grungy. But like I said, they dry. When they dry a little bit lighter. So that's helpful. So you can still use these for journaling on. Okay. I don't think I put any blue on this one. Just use up the rest of the ink here. Smear that on. Let's get a little bit of blue for this envelope. Needs to be grunged up a little bit more. That's good. We'll let that dry. Okay. So then when you are done with your inks, you can move those to the side. And then I had, let's see, this right here, this I'm using, let's see, this part right here, just this script part on this sticker. Or not sticker, stamp. Where's my other stamp? Where did my other one go? Here we go. And then I have this, which is like these, kind of these circles that I used on a couple pages. So let me grab these. These are still a tad wet. Now the best thing to do would be to let these dry. So I'm gonna grab my drying tool and dry these real quick, at least a little bit more. Since you're not like saturating it with water, they're pretty quick to dry. The same with the coffee. When I did my stencils, I just sprayed it with the coffee, so I wasn't saturating my paper. So it really only took them a couple hours to dry. I just laid them down in my hallway and just had them all kind of just dry on their own as I was doing each page. And by the time I was done with all my papers, when I went back to my first page, it was pretty dry. So then I could start, you know, adding these splotches of ink as well. And then by the time I got back down to the end page, the first one was dry, and I can start adding my stencil paste, the paste, texture paste that I would add. And so you can make like just an assembly line and just kind of go through all your pages. But it does take a while if you're doing each individual page. I just spent a day or two working on them, like an hour here, an hour there, and it's. Look at how beautifully grungy these pages are looking. Love it. Can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. I always have an idea in my head, but y'all know, like, it never turns out the way I thought. But sometimes, like, a lot of times it turns out even better. Or just I'll go a different direction, like halfway through, and it'll turn out nothing of what I thought, but it's still pretty cool. So that's usually what happens. I have an idea, start out with an idea, but I go off, go off on a tangent. That's why none of my journals are ever the same. And I do each one differently. I always want to try new things too. Like I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over. I want to try new things and expand my repertoire of crafting, I guess. And with the amount of work I'm doing on these pages, they're getting pretty, not thick, but it gives it some texture to the pages and gives it a little bit more, I don't know, heaviness to the page, I guess, because I'm adding so many different layers between the texture paste and all that. You can add gesso to these pages. You can add, whatever you want. I was going to, but my gesso, I had enough, I think, with the stencils, splotches of ink, and then the texture paste through the stencils on top of that. So I think that was quite enough layers. And the stamping. I forgot about the stamping too. So, okay. So they're pretty dry. Okay, so let me make sure these are right side up. Let's see, this should probably be maybe the bottom. Okay, so then the next thing I did was grab my, let's see, vintage photo and grab this one I want. I would grab my script and just kind of stick it in, and it doesn't matter if, like you want it kind of, it doesn't matter if it's like clear, if it comes out perfectly clear or whatever, and I just kind of stick them in all variety of areas. So you just have, I love these envelopes too. Look at the frayed edge. This is how I want my papers to kind of be. I'm going to see if I could do that, kind of tear them that way so all my papers look like that. But I had just a few of these envelopes left, and I was like, oh, I have to use those. So I really want this to be. So that's it. You just kind of take your stamps and stick them wherever. So there's that one. And then go through all your papers. And I kind of alternated between this stamp and the circle stamp right here. So I'll show you that one. And so this is giving it another layer. So now you got stamping. It's just like back and forth, back and forth. Okay. We'll do a couple of these. I kind of overlap them sometimes. Sometimes I just randomly. Just gives it some more interest and dimension to the page. Okay, this one I'll do the circles. So the circles, I'll show you what they kind of look like. They're kind of like they kind of remind me of stained glass. I don't know if you can see close up right here. So they're like these little circles with these, I don't know, frames around them, I guess. Just again, to give it some more interest, and it kind of reminds me maybe kind of a little bit of like when you go into like an old building and you see the terracotta, or the, not terracotta, but the, what is it? Like the white stuff coming off the wall, like it's flaking off the wall. Like in old buildings. Or like if there was like a mosaic, for instance, on the wall. That's kind of what this reminds me of. It's like there's like a mosaic that was on the wall and it's coming off in pieces and it's ripping off, and that's kind of what that reminds me of. And then some of these come out a little dark, and then just dab it away if the ink is, you know, too dark. Again, I'm just kind of just sticking it wherever. And if the ink gets too dark, just dab it up. Just want, just like, you can kind of see it but barely, and it's just kind of giving the page a little bit more. On this side I'll do script again, so I just kind of go back and forth. Some pages will have script, some will have the little circles. I need a bigger script stamp. I need one that's like full script. And I've seen a few. I'll have to just pick one up. I've just got so many stamps. I try to use what I have. I've got so many things. Some of the things I've never even used yet. I've got so many. And so I don't want to keep buying stuff when, you know, I've got so many things I can use. I'm all about using what you have. So if you don't have something like this, just improvise. You know, use stencils or whatever, you know, whatever you want to use. But I try to improvise. So if I see somebody who did something, you know, and I'm like, oh, I really like that effect, but I don't have the tools or the materials or whatever it is that they use, I kind of go through my room and I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm all, you know, again, all about improvising, and how can I, you know, make this give me that same type of effect, or, you know, or how can I use this, you know, to give me that same type of look, or I don't know. Yeah, I'm all about using what you got. So I just kind of go through my stamps and try to find what I had. And same with Bible journaling. A lot of people will ask me, you know, where'd you get that image? Or even in junk journaling, they'll say, where'd you get that image? And a lot of times I'll get images from books. I'll just tear up books, or I do keep some folders on my computer. So when I see an image that I really like, I'll put it in like my folder. You know, I'll have a junk journal folder on my computer, and I just kind of put the image in there. And then people ask me, where'd you get that image? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's been in my folder for ages. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But a lot of times you can just Google things, or, you know, or sometimes I'll buy kits. I don't buy kits very often, but if I do, or I'll buy like maybe, you know, a piece or something, you know, maybe like a mini kit or something, and then I'll put it in my folder and I'll forget where I got it from, and people will ask me, I'm like, and I'll have to kind of look it up. But most of the time, I would say almost majority of the things I use are just things I've had from, you know, scrapbooking for 20 years. I use stickers and things that I had, stamp sets that I have, pictures I have, or pictures from books. I'll just tear up books or kids' books, or, you know, what have you. Or freebies from, I don't know, newsletters or things that I'm a part of. I'm really trying not to buy, I keep saying that, but really trying not to buy anything new because I really want to use up what I have. I mean, I literally have so much stuff that I'm constantly telling people, come on over, borrow, take things, because there's no way I could possibly use all this. Plus a lot of this stuff, you can share, like all these stamps and stuff. Everyone, I have Bible journaling groups coming over and different crafting groups, and they'll all use my stamps and my ribbons and all that, and I'm like, yeah, use it up. And stamps are reusable, so it's like, use the stamp and then we still have it because they're reusable. Okay, almost done with this part. But hopefully this will show you kind of how I'm getting all the different layers, how I did my pages for this one. I'll try to take you along on all the different things I'm doing, but with my travel schedule, I might just craft here or there, like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or whatever, and I might not get a lot of it on camera. I'll do my best to get as much as I can on camera for y'all. Oh, let's see. I'll wipe this one off. Put that to the side, and then we'll finish off with this circle one. Yeah, come on. Okay, so if you can see up close, so you've got the stencils in the background. Well, not on that one, this one a little bit. You can see some of the stenciling. Then you've got the splotches of ink, and then you've got the stamping. Here's the words, the script stamping. So it's just giving it a little bit more. Okay, so then the final thing I did on all my pages was, clear that off, grab all my papers again, let these dry. Okay, so then the final thing I did was grab my stencils, and so I was using a few stencils. I was using this stencil, as you can see, this stencil, so I didn't use that one, that was too big, and then this stencil. These were the same stencils that I used, well, these two is what I used a lot in this one for my coffee dyeing. So these 3 stencils were what I used for my coffee dyeing, and then these were giving me a little bit more detail. Okay, and then I also used the metallic luster copper kettle and this Bow Bunny gold stencil paste. This one seems to be my favorite right now. I've been using it a lot. So let me show you. Actually, I'm gonna do that one last because I want it to be kind of golden and coppery at the same time. So I would take the page and I would open up my gold paste. And I take, this is a tough bristle brush, so it'll get in between the stencils real well. And you're just gonna take it and just kind of get it in the stencil. So it's harder to do with your hand, so it's better to do it with a brush. Especially if you have like a detailed stencil like this. And some of these I wasn't doing the whole stencil, I was just doing like just little parts of the stencil. Let's see. You can hear my son, talking. He is home from work today. He's got weird hours of for his work, and he is living with us right now until he gets deployed, because there's no point for him having an apartment. He works for the military. He does a few different things for them, and he put himself in to be deployed, of course, like father, like son. So he is going to be leaving us pretty soon. So let's see. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you can see that. Let's bring that up close. Look at that gold paste on there. And this dries pretty quickly, but look at that. It just adds so much to the page as well. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I'll put that there on this side. Well, actually, I'm gonna use a little section of this on this side up at this top corner. Make sure this doesn't go down into the other. I don't want it to fall into this paste over here and mess it up, so. Yeah, this Bow Bunny, I got this at Tuesday Morning, I think, for just like a couple bucks. I love it. It's like a paste and paint. Like it's called a stencil paste. And I just love how you don't have to put a lot on it either. It's kind of like paint, but it also has like a little raised effect. So depending on how thick you apply it, but if you apply it thinly, it still gives you the look. Just, you know. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you can see that. So cool. Okay, so then I'm not gonna do that side right now. I gotta let this dry. So I'm gonna put that to the side. And then I'm gonna put this down, and let's try something else. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple of these copper and a couple of these gold. So right now I'm gonna do the gold, since I got the gold out. Yeah, we'll just leave that side like that. I'm gonna use this. This kind of reminds me of like Moroccan walls that I've seen, or patterns. Again, it's like kind of like a mosaic that was on the wall that's kind of breaking up, falling apart. And I just apply it, just, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. Just rub it in there. Oh, love it. If you can see it, I'll show it to you once. Get this done. So can you see that close up? So you get this other effect on your paper too. When it hits the light, you got like a shiny effect, but it kind of blends into the paper too, which I like. And then once you're looking at it close up, you're like, oh, I didn't even notice that was there. And then you see it. I just randomly put these on. So cool. Let me put a little bit down here. Oop, don't touch that part. Okay. And again, like put it somewhere where it can dry, so I'm just like laying things everywhere. Okay, let's see. We'll put some gold on this side, and then we'll do copper maybe on another one. So let's do like a swirly coming from the side here. I try to use up everything on my brush, so nothing's going to waste. So we're doing that. And we'll kind of let it go out to here. Let's see what it looks like. Woo! Pretty, pretty, pretty. See that? And let's do a little swirly coming out from here. And like I said, the thicker you put this on, the thicker it will be on the paper. I just want a thin coat. I want it kind of there, you know, there enough where you can see it, but not like just real thick, if that makes any sense. I want the impression of it to be there. And in some parts are thicker than others, and it kind of gives it that really cool, like antique feel, like, you know, like it got worn away. I like that. Some areas are thicker than others. So let me show you if you can see. So if you look at it closely, some areas, you can see some areas are thicker than others, and then others are just barely there thin. So it's kind of like, you know, it worn away over time. I like that. And if you look at it far away, like, you know, it's like it's there, but barely there. I love that. Okay, where am I going to put this one? I'll put this one over here. Okay. Let's do some copper. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get as much of this off as I can. Normally what I would do is bring my brush over to the sink and rinse it off, but I'm just gonna kind of just go like this and rub it off. I don't really mind if the copper and gold kind of mix, because that's another cool look. I really like these stencils, so I'm thinking I'm gonna keep, oh, I got stencils on that one too. Well, we'll do some of this, some copper here. Okay, so now with this copper, this is copper kettle paste. Now what I've noticed with this, it's a little thick. So what I do is I put a little bit of water on the side. I put my brush in the water, and then I get some of this copper, because it seems to be too thick to go through the stencil very well without the water. And then I can kind of go back in, and then if you just need more water, just kind of do the water, and it'll kind of thin it out a little bit for you. See? And in some parts you get thicker air, you know, thicker pieces than others. But the water will help you get it through the stencil. Whoop. Say like that. I don't know if you can see. And let's do some coming out the side here. So just grab a little bit of water, and then it helps spread it a lot easier as well. Like this is the stuff I use with my fingers on, I don't know, metal embellishments and things like that. But if you want it to go through a stencil, you might have to water it down a little. I guess it just depends how thick it is. Mine's pretty thick, so. And it depends how thick you want it. If you wanted it thick, this would be perfect, you know, to put through here, but I don't want it too thick. I just kind of want the impression of it. I'm gonna put a few more down this way. Okay, so there's the copper. So let me move this right there. Okay, I'm gonna keep that page like that. Let's add some copper to this one. What should we do? Let's do this stencil. We'll just have a little bit of it coming out the side here, maybe. This is when my copper and gold start to mix. And I don't mind it, because it gives it another really cool look. You'll see when I do the envelope with the gold on top of this copper, the copper will mix with the gold and it looks so pretty. I mean, if you don't want that, you can wipe off your stencil. I'm not too picky about that. Okay, so there. So again, it's kind of like barely there, but it gives it just another cool little look. Okay, I'm gonna do the top part right here. Whoop, get that out of the water. Trying to move this. There we go. But so as you can see, this would take a while if you're doing each and every page. So that's why I'm just doing a few pages with y'all so you can see how I did these pages. The steps I took and the different layers I added. So then when you see these papers later in the journal and you're asking me, how did you do that? I'd be like, I showed you in the video. Okay, let's see. Whoop, there we go. So just really cool little designs. Okay, let's put this, oh my gosh, I'm running out of space. Okay, last one. Let's add some copper on this one. Let's see, do we want this side? Yeah, this doesn't have hardly any stencils. This has some stenciling. Let's just add a little bit more interest to this side. Boy, this brush has really been through it with me. I'm gonna add a little bit more over here. I use this brush for pretty much anything that I need to kind of just like shove things into. That's what I love about these bristles. Okay. Just need a brush like that. The brush that'll do anything for you, except for paint details. I do not use this brush for that because it's just, look at it. It's pretty much had it, but it does what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna add a little bit up here. And let's, and again, this texture paste will go a long way too if you're just using it like this. I mean, you can see, you can really, I've been using this on all my pages and that's all I've used so far. Plus I've used it on other things, so you don't need a lot of it. It goes pretty far. Okay, let's just add a little bit here. I keep adding more. Gotta give some interest to this page. And a couple out here so it doesn't look like it's just a straight line. Okay, and then we'll let this dry. Okay, so let me grab this. And where is... Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, guess we'll have this kind of go in like this, but I won't do the whole thing. I'll just do a little bit of it. Okay, so again, I'm gonna wipe this off as best I can. And I know some people would freak out, don't go into your gold with that, but you can kind of rinse it off pretty good, but I actually want the gold and copper to kind of mix. So y'all, I don't mind. Y'all know I mix my stuff a lot and I know it drives people nutso, but I don't really have a problem with it. I'm gonna use a lot from the side too, so I'm not gonna be dipping in too much. Okay, so I'm grabbing the gold and I'm gonna go on here, But now, as you're gonna see, a lot of this copper will actually come off with the gold, and you're gonna get like a coppery gold type paste and look to this. I'll show you when I pull it up. But the copper from the top here of this stencil is mixing with the gold, so it's giving it like a copper gold look. So it gives it another look, kind of what I showed you on the other envelopes. And some parts will be more gold than others, some parts a little bit more coppery. Okay, let's see how it turned out. Ooh, okay. So can you see that? It's kind of, some parts are a little bit more gold, some parts are gold and copper. I love that mixture right there. So cool. Okay, well there we go. So I'm gonna let those dry. I'm gonna have to let those dry before I can do the other side. Let me cover this. But I will show you again some of my pages and what they turn out when they're dry. So as you can see, they dry a lot lighter. So this had some of the green and blue, and here's some of that texture paste. Here's the other side. Some sides I'm leaving plain, so I'm having a variety throughout. Here's some of the copper, some of the blue, and the stencils and the stamping. All right. And then these are some pages that I had. There were like parchment paper that was already torn like this. So I'm going to use some of these, again with the texture. Here is some the gold paste. And this, you know, the ink and the stamping and stenciling. But yeah, so they turn out pretty light. So these can all be still used as journal pages. Here's this side with some lines. Some are darker than others, but you know, we're going to be covering some of these with pockets and such. And then, you know, I had some of these like this. And again, when the ink went through, it kind of made the ink run, or not when the ink, when the water went through the paper, it made some of my ink run, which kind of gives it this like hazy look, even older look, I guess. So that's kind of cool too. So yeah, a happy accident. So these are all my pages. That's if you print on the pages first. So if you want to print on the page first, whatever picture you have, if you don't have like, what is it, a laser jet printer or whatever that printer is that the ink doesn't run, I have the opposite of that. So when I get it wet, my ink runs. So I could have coffee dyed this and inked it up and whatever and saved one side and then printed on the side. It would have been crisper and clearer, but that kind of defeated the purpose of what I wanted. I wanted this to be really faded and old and kind of junky and such. So that gives you an idea of where I am going with this whole Renaissance journal. So thanks y'all for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. I have no idea what I'll be doing, but we'll see where the wind takes us. So have a very blessed day. I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.